Welcome everyone, Madman bringing another RSL video. Today with pleasure, completing the trifecta of the Doom Tower hard rotations. We will discuss floors 111 through 119 and then Sorath the Frost Spider at the end there. Okay, so for floor 112 we got Yoshi here and Relentless Perception and Speed Sets. He has 63,000 HP, almost 2,400 attack, a little over 2,300 defense, 260 speed, and 357 accuracy. Fully booked A1 with a chance to stun. Attacks 2 times, 75% chance of placing decreased accuracy, and HP burn debuff for 2 turns. So that's how we're getting our damage. That is fully booked as well. Places increased attack buff and increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns, but also has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on all enemies, 75% chance if enemies are under increased attack buffs, and then of course it books up to either 75 or 100%. That is fully booked as well. And then fills his champion's turn meter by 4% each time enemies receives a buff, so it gets a little quicker. And he has a 19% speed aura in all battles. He is was in a stun set. Probably should put him back in it, but went down the defensive tree and then fearsome presence for when he was placing stuns, and then the support tree. We want I can't think of what buffs, but we want his buffs to extend and we want his debuffs to extend if possible. So that is Yoshi. Now, Brogni has been rebuilt so many times it's crazy, but Brogni we went. And Swift Parry, he was last built for Arena and then off pieces, but almost 68,000 HP, only 1,800 attack, which kind of sucks, but we got him 31 defense, 263 speed, so we went up that. No real crit rate or crit damage, if we do actually crit. No resistance or accuracy on him, and here's the reason why. Now he's got a chance of placing HP burn, and it is fully booked, but but he ain't got much accuracy as you saw. But attacks all enemies, chance of removing a random buff from the enemies, that would be nice. But he increases the value of shields. Stun set might be better on him for this purposes, just to help out a little bit more. But his A2 is fully booked, but it's A3, right? Places a block debuffs, that's what I wanted, so we're not getting froze, especially from those damn Tormans. And then a 50% increase attack on all allies for 2 turns. Place a shield buff as well on 2 turns, equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. That's why we went for a lot of HP with still being fast enough. And the shield cannot be removed. That is fully booked as well. And then when allies under a shield buff or attack reflects 25% damage on the shield back to the attacker, also heals that ally by 25% of the damage inflicted on the shield. So let them beat themselves down and heal us up at the same time. We could use his Resistor and Doom Tower, but that's still pretty difficult. Anyway, offensive tree down to Giant Slayer. I think pretty much because he's set for arena. And then give him more HP and a chance to extend debuffs if he does happen to land that HP burn. So that is Brogni. Syl we've seen a few times before, relentless and perception, so I'm going to go through her quick. Almost 65,000 HP, almost 3k defense, 200 speed, and of course the accuracy and resistance are moderate. Fully booked A1, chance to decrease speed. Fully booked A2, chance to stun. Fully booked A3, chance to revive and ally protection. And then passive 10% heal every turn. Went down the defense tree, giving her as much resistance as reasonably possible. And then the support tree with some HP and hopefully extend the stuns if they do land. So that is Syl. Sylar is in a stun set and speed set, 46,000 HP, almost 2,100 attack, little over 2,200 defense, 270 speed, one of the fastest champs there, and 313 accuracy. She's not booked on her A1, that might help increase some damage. Partially booked on her A2, not super critical, decrease accuracy, but it does help. And then fully booked A3 here with the decreased speed and the turn meter. That's what she's here for. We're not worried about her faction crypt aura. She is in a stun set, so defensive tree down to fearsome presence, and the support tree for some accuracy to help land the decreased speed and turn meter control. And then lastly, we got Doom Priest. Sorry, I'm recovering from COVID. But Doom Priest in a Relentless set and Immortal. Probably ought to finish doing that, but she has got almost 73,000 HP, almost 2,100 attack, 2,200 defense, 244 speed, and then no accuracy or resistance. We don't really need it. Partially booked A1, not really caring too much about the crit rate. Increase attack buffs on all allies for 2 turns is nice, and that is booked. But the passive heals all allies by 7.5% of their max HP and removes a random debuff at the start of the champion's turn. That's why she's in there. And then speed and all, force ally speed in all battles by 15%, so that's why she's not in the lead. Instead, Yoshi is. She's just got typical War Master. It might be better defensive, but to get a little more damage out. And then the support tree, Spirit Haze to get around to cleansing, hopefully faster if someone's dead. But there you go. Those are the 5 champions for clearing floor 112. I will say this, it has taken hours upon hours and run upon run before finally getting the right RNG to get it done. But let's move on. For floor 114, we got Lydia. Hopefully by this point, if you're this high up in Doom Tower, you have Lydia. She is in double speed set and perception with her stats at 59,000 HP, 3,500 defense, 259 speed, and 345 accuracy. Her skills, fully booked A1, chance of placing fear is what we care about. The decreased defense and weaken we need, as well as the buffs of strengthen and increased speed, fully booked on her A2. We're not really using her A3, but you can if needs be with block buffs and block active skills. Her passive may or may not come in handy. As you saw there, the Tormund tried to revive. Instead, he got denied, and we picked up our Sylar, so we weren't too worried about that. Masteries wise, just down the defensive tree, and then as much accuracy down the support tree, along with lasting gifts and Maxter Hexter for the decreased defense and weaken, and then also the strengthen and what else is on that skill? Strengthen and increase speed. So this is mainly where she's important. Her passive can be of importance, and then the oppression is important. And that is Lydia. Now, under Priest Brogni, he's in Swift Parry and Offset pieces. Basically, we just went with high HP. Don't care too much about the attack. It's helpful if you can build some, but high HP gave him reasonable defense to survive, 263 speed. The rest of the stats we don't care about in this particular case. We just want him fast enough. He's fully booked A1. If he lands the HP burn, great, but he doesn't have much accuracy and all that. So attacks all enemies. Chance for moving around and buff from the enemies can be nice. Improving the shield, if it's even there, can be nice. It is fully booked A2. But the reason we're here, place block debuffs. We don't want the damn Tormund freezing us before we get to do everything. So that's why he's the fastest. Goes first, places the block debuffs, increase attack and shield, and that's all we really need there out of him. His passive's nice, a little bit for when the Rotos want to hit back, and they can reflect some damage that the shield has taken. His masteries came down the offensive tree. Here to Giant Slayer. I think it's just set up for arena build. Anyway, and then support tree as well. But he is mainly here for his A3, and that's pretty much it. Syl, relentless perception sets. Her stats, almost 65,000 HP, 3,000 defense, only 200 speed. Probably just need to drop this resistance, but it does come in handy. And then up the accuracy. Decreased speed, not really needed in this particular case. Chance to stun, that comes helpful because what's going to happen is, well, I'll get to that in a minute. Well, no, we'll go ahead. What's going to happen is, if all goes well, we nuke everybody but the Rotos. You can't nuke the Rotos because it takes a double hit to do that. You're not going to do that. So only those Rotos will be standing. And then hopefully you can stun them if your other CC is not working. And then if need be, hopefully she can revive somebody with ally protection. Depends on what the Rotos hit you with. So, and then she can heal and increase speed, of course, on her passive. We've seen her masteries before. Defensive tree with some resistance. HP coming down the left side here of the support tree. So that is why Syl is in there, even though she is slower. Sylar is in a stun set and speed set. 46,000 HP, 2,000 attack, 2,200 defense, 270 speed, 313 accuracy. Don't care about her A1 other than it's AoE. Stun set hopefully will kick in if you're lucky. A2, another AoE. Don't really care if we place decreased accuracy or not. Her A3, 30% decrease in speed on all enemies, plus decrease the turn meter by 40%. That allows our slower Syl and our slower Seer to actually go before the other team. Otherwise, you got to have some pretty high speeds, and that gets crazy. Don't care about her speed and faction crypts. Down here to Fearsome Presence, she's in a stun set, and then the support tree. So she's serving two purposes there, with the turn meter to give the others, especially Seer, slower Seer, a chance to do her Karma Burn, and she also has AoEs, so we can try and stun the Rotos and just work on them while we get our resets before we move on to the next wave. Then lastly, we got Seer. She's in a crit damage set and offset pieces with 47,000 HP, 1900 attack. It'd be nice to have some more, but 2100 defense, 200 speed, so you see it's not that fast. It does have 100% crit rate. Yeah, I know it's a little more. And then almost 300 crit damage, 298. I don't think you need quite that high, but you gotta manage the amount of buffs versus how much crit damage you have. A little higher accuracy would be nice, but not needed. Hopefully they're not buffing up, and you can just rip off your buffs and kill most of them except for the Rotos. She is fully booked on her A1. As you saw, she took quite a few extra turns. Not necessarily a bad thing, and she was probably the hardest single hitter that we had in this group. Fully booked A2. We could do the increased crit rate and weaken if we needed to, but we didn't really need to. And then the Karma Burn, of course, is fully booked as well, so we get around to it as fast as possible. Resist on all battles might have been a little helpful, but I think Baragni's is 60 versus her 40, so. Her masteries, we just came down the office tree, give every little thing to help the Karma Burn, and flawless execution, get that crit damage up as high as possible. And then the support tree, try and give her some accuracy. Obviously for Doom Tower, we're not getting near as high as we need to be, but it is what it is. So there are the 5 champions there for floor 114. As you can see, no Kymar, no Renegade. It's a slow comp, but it did work. So hopefully that was helpful. Next floor. For floor 115 here, we used Lydia, double speed set and perception, 59,000 HP, 3,500 defense, 259 speed with 345 accuracy. I'm not going to go through all of this stat detail. We've seen a lot of it, but fully booked A1, fully booked A2, fully booked A3. Her revive or block revive passive there, fully booked as well. Great for the Torments. Defensive tree and support tree for her masteries. So that is Lydia. Blind Seer, Regen or Relentless and Immortal. 53,000 HP, 3,200 plus defense, 257 speed, 404 resistance. Not booked A1, not booked A2, not booked A3, mainly using her A2, but her A3 available if needed. Again, defensive tree, high resist, and support tree. And that is Blind Seer. Alright, Sylar we have in stun and speed sets. 46,000 HP, 2,500 or 2,200 plus defense, 270 speed there, 313 accuracy. Not fully booked at all, or not booked at all A1, partially booked A2, fully booked A3. This is the big thing. We want to decrease speed and turn meter to give our slower Seer a chance to Karma Burn before the enemy gets a chance to go. Fearsome Presence on the defensive tree because of the stun set, and then as much accuracy there, as we can muster there from the support tree. So that is Sylar. Ursula we are using as our lead. She is in Relentless and Divine Speed. 53,000 HP. 2K attack, 2,900 defense, 221 speed, 335 accuracy. Not booked a 1, not booked a 2, but this is decrease attack and increase attack, extra buffs on us. Not booked a 3, but revives a ally and then adds defense and strengthen, so that can come in handy. And the big thing is the 24% speed aura and Doom Tower is definitely helpful. And defensive tree and support tree there for her masteries. And she is there for the speed aura and a few extra buffs for Seer 2 ripoff. Lastly, we have Seer and crit damage set and then 2 offset pieces there with 47,000 plus HP, only 1,900 attack, 2,100 defense. Fairly slow at 200 speed. That's why we need Sylar and Ursula there. And then 105 crit rate, 298 crit damage. Don't think you need quite that high, but and then only 203 accuracy. You're not going to get through any Rhodos or whatever anyway with Seer, so. But she is fully booked A1, can grant an extra turn. That can or cannot be helpful sometimes. Of course, booked A2 with increased crit rate and weaken if needed, and then her fully booked A3, which is the Karma burn there. And a chance to play Sleep. And then resist all battles, and then her masteries. We came down the offensive tree to flawless execution, give us much crit damage as possible, and support tree to kind of give us as much accuracy if needed. And those are the 5 champs there. So basically we want to, as you can see, no Kymar, and we're not using Renegade either. So what we're trying to do is knock down as many enemies as possible without clearing the wave, be able to CC the last 1 or 2, and then move on to the next wave with full abilities ready to go again. This works fairly well against, if you can take out the CP and then you half health the Rhodos, and then it's just a matter of CCing them down. Of course, you gotta have some CC as well, otherwise the Rhodos will eat your lunch. But those are the 5 champs for floor 115. Okay, for floor 116, we're using Lydia again. Again, speed, double speed, and perception sets. You can see 59,000 plus HP, 3,500 defense, 259 speed, 345 accuracy. Hopefully you know her skills by now. Fully booked A1, A2, fully booked A3, and fully booked passive there. And then her masteries, defensive and support tree. And we're using Lydia there. for mainly her A2 abilities. Arbiter's in triple speed set with 50,000 HP, 2K attack, 2,700 defense, 348 speed, 250 accuracy. Not really the big thing there. Not booked A1, fully booked A2 though, fully booked A3. This is the main one. Increase attack, plus it gives some heals. And then if we need to, we can revive all allies with some HP and turn meter boost as well, and gives an extra turn. And then her speed aura in arena battles is not very useful, but she's one of the fastest champions, so she gives us a boost. Defensive tree masteries and support tree masteries as well there. So that is Arbiter. Sylar, stun set, speed set, we've seen many times before. 46,000 HP, 2,200 defense, 270 speed, 313. Fully booked A3, decreased speed, decreased turn meter, gives our slower champs an opportunity to go before the enemy does. Partially booked A2, not booked A1, a speed aura that's not useful for Doom Tower. Fearsome Presence on the defensive side again for stun set, and then some accuracy out of the support side. And that is Sylar. Syl, Relentless set, Perception. Again, almost 65,000 HP, almost 3k defense, 200 speed. She can somewhat land the stuns and resist a few things, but neither of them are significantly high enough. Fully booked A1, decreased speed. Fully booked A2, chance to stun. Fully booked A3, a chance for revive with ally protect, and a passive that heals by 10% and a chance of increased speed on a random ally. Defensive side, giving her more resistance and HP there for the stuns. And that is Syl. Lastly, we got Inquisitor Shamal and Cruel set, and then 4 random sets with only 29,000 HP, but 4,600 attack, almost 2,000 defense, only 202 speed, but over 100% crit rate, 246 crit damage. Don't care about accuracy or resistance. Fully booked A1, even though we don't care about decreasing the duration of a random buff on the enemy. It's triple hitter A2 here that will ignore the target's defense and ignore it further for the targets for each buff on this champion, and can place a true fear on all enemies if he kills the champion. He can, with this amount of damage and the books, one shot the CP, or should I say 3 shot the CP, even I want to say the Rhodos as well and stuff, but he's one. We take out the CP, we take out the Tormentor, whoever's the biggest threat right off the bat. We get back around and hopefully use his skills to do it again. And then his skills, offensive tree, we went with War Master because he's going to be using his A1 quite a bit. We could go Giant Slayer if we just want his A2, but we want his A1 to do some damage, so there we go there. If he does survive an actual hit, he's got opportunity to counterattack from the defensive tree. So those are the 5 champions used for floor 116. Again, RNG plays a big role in most of these floors. So for floors 117 and 118, you can see we used just our standard champs there, and they were fairly easy floors, but start with Sill, Relentless, and Perception. Again, you can see your total stats, almost 65 HP, 3000 defense, 200 speed, and somewhat in the accuracy and resistance. Fully booked A1, A2, and A3. We know these skills by now. And then defensive and support tree on her masteries. Yoshi and speed, resilience, and perception sets with 63,000 HP, 2300 plus attack, 2300 plus defense, 260 speed, and 357 accuracy. Fully booked A1 with a chance of placing stun. Fully booked A2 with the decreased accuracy, but mainly the HP burn. Fully booked A3. It's the true fear part of this that we really want, but the increased attack is nice. And then the determine fill is helpful as well. And of course, the speed aura of 19% in all battles is helpful. And then his masteries, he was in a stun set. I probably said this way too many times, but anyway, defensive tree to fearsome presence, and then both Maxter, Hexer, and lasting gifts to land those and hopefully keep the fears going and the HP burns, and then with the increased attack going for ourselves. Anyway, that is Yoshi. Sylar and stun and speed sets. 46,000 HP, 2200 defense, 270 speed, 313 accuracy. No books in A1, partially booked A2, fully booked A3, which is what we want, the decreased speed and turn meter to give us a chance before them. And then stun set, so fearsome presence on the defense tree of masteries and the support tree for some accuracy. Akoth also in a stun set and immortal set there. 55,000 HP, almost 2k attack, 2700 defense, 196 speed, and almost 300 accuracy there. His skills, partially booked A1, don't care about decreased crit rate. Want to land the HP burns if possible, and it's AoE. That's why he's in a stun set. That is fully booked. Also AoE A3, attacks all enemies there. And if they're under HP burn, can place a shield upon us. So fully booked A3. And then his masteries again in a stun set, so fearsome presence and trying to get some accuracy out of the support tree as well there. Lastly, we have Bellower in a stun set, and it's 2 pieces of offset there. Anyway, he's been modified a little bit. He's at almost a little over 59,000 HP, only 1600 attack, only a little over 1900 defense, but he's been up to 250 speed from where he was before, and we got him to 306 accuracy. He's a rare, so fully booked A1. Block active skills is what we want the most, but also AoE, so try and land those stuns. Decreased speed can be helpful, and it's a fully AoE. That's fully booked as well. And then A3 is an AoE with decreased attack and decreased defense, which is helpful. You'd like to start with the A1, then maybe use A3. The A2 is not as important. Neither is his aura. But defensive tree and then fearsome presence, because he is also in a stun set, and some accuracy to land his other skills there on the from the support tree. And this is how we CC and then let the HP burns do all the work. So those are champs for floor 117 and 118, and about 90% of Doom Tower hard at the first place. Okay, floor 119 again, like I believe floor 115 or 116. Anyway, Lydia in double speed and perception. 59,000 HP, 3,500 defense, 259 speed, and 345 accuracy. Fully booked A1, A2, and A3. Her A2 and her passive are the most important here, and then her mastery is there, defensive and support tree for some accuracy. So relentless and perception, almost 65,000 HP, almost 3k defense, 200 speed, reasonable resistance and accuracy, fully booked A1, 2, and 3. She's there for reviving and stunning. Defensive tree and support tree, because she's there to be a support champion. Arbiter, triple speed sets, 51,000 HP, 2k attack, 2,700 defense, 348 speed, and she actually has a little bit of accuracy. Not booked A1, don't care about the weekend that much, but attacks all enemies, a chance of decrease in the duration buffs. So fully booked A2, not super helpful, but can come in helpful. The big thing is the increased attack on all allies plus the turn meter fill, so that's why she's there. And then if needed, the HP and turn meter fill with a revive and extra turn on her A4 there. And then defensive tree and support tree, timely intervention to get around to reviving us faster if need be. So that is Arbiter. Sylar stun and speed sets. 46,000 HP, 2,200 defense, 270 speed, 313. Not booked at all A1, partially booked A2, and the big thing is the fully booked A3, decreased speed and turn meter fill to allow our slower champs to go faster than theirs. Fearsome Presence, because she is in stun set, which can be helpful, as the first two A1 and A2 are AoEs. And then a little bit of accuracy down the support tree. Lastly, we have Inquisitor Shamael and Cruel with 29,000 HP, but 4,600 attack, 202 speed, so he's way too slow, but 100% crit rate, 246 crit damage. He doesn't need accuracy or resistance. Fully booked A1, but not needed. The fully booked A2 is what we want, with Arbiter's increase attack and then decrease defense and weaken from Lydia. He takes his turn. He's pretty much taken anybody down with the exception of Mountain King. Doesn't quite fully take down the Mountain Kings, but Siphi going down. Even Rhodos can go down, whatever there. And then, of course, whenever they receive a fear or true fear, but we don't really need that here. So he's the man of the hour. We went with War Master. Like I said, Helm Smasher might be just as effective, maybe even more so, with the triple hitter on the A2 as a supporting skill, but you're using the A1 in between, so you're trying to knock down the damage. And then the counterattacks when he does get hit, if he manages to survive. Every now and then he's got a sliver of life, so. But those are the 5 champs for floor 119. And again, RNG luck as well, mixed in with, knowing the champs and trying to get around with what you got to work with. Let's get on to the boss. So for floor 120 Soroth of Frost Spider on Doom Tower Hard here, we have Lydia starting us off with double speed and perception set. 59,000 HP, 3,500 plus defense, 259 speed, 345 accuracy, which for the boss is probably not enough, but fully booked A1, Chance of Fear is the important one there. Fully booked A2, decreased defense and weaken, as well as a strengthen and increased speed is helpful for us, especially on the waves. Poison sensitivity not helpful, but the block buffs and block active skills can be helpful as well on a fully booked A3. The big thing here for Lydia is her passive, Block Revive. So it's going to help us on the Torments on the waves, so we don't have to fight them a second time. We're not going to have enough accuracy there to land the HP burns on the main spider, unless you just happen to hit us and we get the 3%. So once we do whittle down the spider and kill it, Block Revive from Lydia is going to be how we keep it dead. This is why we brought Lydia in. In the meantime, defensive tree here for her masteries, as well as a support tree for extra accuracy and extension of both buffs and debuffs. So that is Lydia. Blind Seer, we got in an Immortal and Resilience set with 53,000 HP, 3,200 plus defense, 257 speed, 404 resistance. She doesn't always resist the spider, but she does quite a bit. Chance of decreasing turn meter on the A1, block debuffs and shield on the A2. Would be nice if it's booked, but this comes important, especially the boss, and with the high resistance, help us keep alive there. Revives all dead allies with block damage buff on all allies except for this one for one turn when she revives them, and a defensive aura in all battles. Very helpful there. She has got resistance on the defensive tree and then some HP and lasting gifts there. Right? Is that right? Yeah, lasting gifts there on the support tree. So that is Blind Seer. With her, we went in speed and relentless set. And we have a little over 97,000 HP, almost 2,900 defense, only 228 speed, no real resistance or accuracy. It'd be nice for high resistance and maybe sacrifice some of that, but I went with higher HP instead of the resistance on Wither. Fully booked AL1, places a leech, also a continuous heal on a random ally for 2 turns. Fully booked A2, increased defense. Also increases the duration of all continuous heal buffs on allies by 1 turn, and it instantly activates any continuous heals on allies. Then the A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals all allies by 30% of this champion's max HP. On fully booked 3-turn cooldown there. This is why I went with close to 100k HP versus the resistance. Places a continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP at the start of each turn in her passive, and then resistance in all battles. Might have been handy, but doubtful because no one's really up super high resist other than Blind Seer. So those are her skills, her masteries. We went with some resistance just in case we ever decide to build up resistance on the defensive tree, and then the support tree there. This is mainly for Leech with the lasting gifts. Laura Steel helps with some of that speed, and I'm not sure how much it helps on Relentless, but it's there anyway. Then we have Drexlar, who is in a regen and perception sets. 50,000 HP, 4,800 defense, 212 speed, 325 accuracy, still close to 400, and it was not enough. Attacks one enemy 3 times, has a 30% chance of placing a HP burn debuff for 2 turns. I don't know if getting the accuracy up would help But I want to say Sora starts with like 250, 350 accuracy, and then gets like a 500 bonus if there's not an HP burn by the time she gets a turn, and then forget it. It's almost impossible to get it on there. Anyway, attacks one enemy, or attacks all enemies, and a chance of placing a provoke. This increases to 100% if they're under an HP burn. Also places a decreased stack for 2 turns if the provoke debuff is placed. Not booked as well. Passive, a chance. What do we got? 75% when booked up to place HP burn for 2 turns whenever the attacker hits him. That's what we're kind of hoping for. Um, it helps on the waves, not so much on the boss. But a big thing is his accuracy aura in all battles. That gives us a shot there. And then his masteries, we just went down the offense tree to get as much damage as possible. And Helm Smasher there, since he's got a 3-hitter on the A1, and that's mainly what we want him doing. And then defensive tree and chance to counterattack when he gets hit, so that he has more opportunities to place HP burn. Then lastly, we have Syl, Relentless Set and Perception, with almost 65,000 HP, almost 3,000 defense, 200 speed, somewhat resistance but not enough accuracy either, not for the final boss, but does help on the waves, decreased speed, fully booked, chance of placing stun, fully booked, A3, chance of reviving with ally protection for 2 turns, and a passive that heals us and also places an increased speed on a random ally for 2 turns. Her masteries, we came down the defensive tree here, grabbed as much resistance as possible, and HP. Might switch this out and go for more accuracy now that we've completed all 3 rotations, but I'm not sure just yet. So those are the 5 champions. Now, what's going on here? I don't know how many times I fought the boss. It timed out. It turned out like we hit the 1,500 turn limit trying to go for the boss. So you don't have to take it off of auto, but every now and then target the side spiders, get HP burn on them, and let them beat down the main spider. And then once you finally get it way down there, hopefully when you kill it, Lydia block revive it, because chances are, at least right now, unless you get a lot higher accuracy, you're not going to land an HP burn to finish it off, and she'll prevent it from reviving, and the battle keeps going on. As you saw, we got pretty close with the turn limit as it was. Anyway, but those are the 5 champions. Sorath, level 120 Frost Spider is done. Have a nice day.